All right, Long, you're good to go.
Hi, Haley. Do I know if there anybody in the room with me?
Yep, there's two people.
Okay, terrific. Thanks, Haley. Hi there. My name is Lung Su. I am an admissions officer for the University of Nicosia, which is located in Cyprus, in the Mediterranean island of Cyprus. I'm based in Chicago and zooming from you to you right now from Chicago. Um, so as I'm not sure who is in with me in this session, first of all, thank you very much for making the time to join me on my webinar. The University of Nicosia has three programs that might be of interest to Canadian applicants. First of all, Haley, would you mind sharing the screen, please? Thanks. So first, we have a 6-year MD degree program. This 6-year program is primarily targeted at the students and applicants applying with a high school diploma transcript. Okay. We also have a graduate entry MD degree program, which is more for the those who are applying with a degree, a university degree, not necessarily in biomedical sciences. It could be a degree in liberal arts or engineering, but we require a degree and also the MCAT exam score, right? The Medical College Admissions Test score. Okay, more about that later. And then finally, the University of Nicosia also has just launched last year in 2022 a DVM program, which is a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree program. This program is a 5-year DVM program, and the minimum academic requirements for entry is also a high school diploma transcript. Okay, so these are the three programs I'm going to be talking about. So, in the interest of time, and I'd like you to just submit any questions you have now as we go along. Okay, feel free to do so. So, coming back to the University of Nicosia Medical School, we are the largest medical school in Cyprus, and Cyprus is located in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, just across the sea from Lebanon, Turkey, and a little further away is Israel. Okay, but in spite of the fact that the neighboring region may be a little bit turbulent at times, as it is right now, honestly, but Cyprus continues to be ranked among the safest places in the world. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Cyprus too, it is actually a divided island, all right, a divided nation island. The Greek Cypriots live in the south of the border, and north of the border are where the Turkish Cypriots live. There is definitely a border, but visitors like myself holding a non-EU passport can just carry our passports and walk across the border to either side without having to apply for a visa. Okay, so all our programs are conducted entirely in English, and the Greek Cypriots, where the University of Nicosia is located, the Cypriots are very, very fluently bilingual. Everyone under the age of 60 is fluently bilingual in both Greek as well as English. All right. Now, so this is our landing page for the University of Nicosia Medical School. As I mentioned earlier, we are the first and also currently the largest medical school in Cyprus. Okay, and this is where you'll find these are menus up here, located up here. So rather than the presentation, I want to give you a navigation through our web page and our website so that you become more familiar with when you revisit it later, hopefully so. Okay, these are menus located at the top. Under the educate, you have to remember to hover your cursor over the menus so that the menus will be pulled down. So this is a 6-year MD degree program. I mentioned the graduate entry, and then the others are our online degree programs. Okay, so let me very briefly touch on the 6-year MD degree program. Once you come to the 6-year program website rather, you please remember to scroll down to this maroon horizontal banner across, because it will show the other links to the program, such as introduction, profile, curriculum, structure, assessment, admissions, and tuition. Okay, so the admissions is something that's very, very, one of the first questions that always get asked are, what are we looking for? So very importantly, you will find here that the admissions are more general, right? It talks about the high school living certificate for the Greek and the Cypriots, or the GCE A levels, which is the diploma that the UK and a few other Commonwealth countries will follow. For you applying with the IB, who are in the IB program, these are the very straightforward requirements for the IB. Now, Canada is very provincial, as what you say. So every province has may have a slightly different high school structure. So in those cases, if you are really interested, send me an email and let me know where you're located, so I can tell you in detail what our requirements are for your province. But just off the bat, let me tell you, like, say for example, like Ontario, where the most people live, we require 6 4U or 4M subjects, and for the MD programs, it must include first biology 4U at least 80%. Secondly, we need a second science subject like chemistry or physics, or a math class at the 4U level, also minimum of 80%. And then that makes 2 subjects. Then we need another 4 subjects, making it 6. And the aggregate overall 6 subjects must average at least 80% as well. So once again, 80% for biology, 80% for a second science subject, and plus another 4 subjects, making 6 total, and the 6 total subjects must average at least 80%. Okay, so that's Ontario. If you're from Alberta, if you're zooming in from Alberta or BC or one of the eastern provinces, just let me know where you are, send me an email, and then I'll be happy to get back to you with the details for your province. Okay. The other most important information for you to think about is you'll see here English language requirements for Canadian applicants. Because Canada is a bilingual country, we will ask an official letter from your school, or on your transcript that says that your curriculum is conducted and your grades are earned in English. Okay, that's the English language. You're not required to take any English language requirements unless you're applying from Quebec. Okay. The tuition tab obviously will show you what the costs are. The costs you will be looking at. The fees are all here, and also these are all quoted in euros. Keep in mind, these are all quoted in euros. And very importantly, since I'm speaking mainly to Canadians, I want you to know that in our 6-year program, the first 4 years for everyone are conducted in Cyprus, at the University of Nicosia in Cyprus. Now, for clinical rotations, which are the final 2 years, year 5 and year 6, Canadians have the option of completing the final 2 years of clinical rotations, clinical training in Chicago. All right, we only have Chicago in the entire North America, but it offers Canadians the opportunity to experience a North American medical environment for their clinical rotations. All right, so keep that in mind. Now, for that too, there will be a supplementary charge for each of the last 2 years of 8,000 euros for year 5 and 8,000 euros for year 6. All right, and also on this tuition webpage, you will find, if you scroll further down, you'll see that we also offer some financial assistance. Basically, so pay attention. Every candidate who receives a offer to join our cohort every individual candidate will be eligible to also apply for financial aid scholarships. These financial aid scholarships can cover up to 20% of, but here it is, up to 20% of tuition, a maximum up to 20%. Okay, so that's pretty generous. So do keep that in mind. And also, coming back to Ontario and the other provinces too, Canadian students can apply for provincial, like OSAP, for example, the Ontario Student Assistance Program. So that's on top of this as well. Okay, so essentially these are the general information I'd like to draw your attention to. Also, one more is structure. Very oddly enough, if you check under structure, you'll see the program structure. It talks about the ECTS, but the important and the interesting information comes further below. All right, there is a description here for years 1 to 3, and then year 4, and then obviously the clinical training years 5 and 6. But if you go further down, this is where it starts. This is where each individual subject is listed, and you can see the description. You can see the subjects listed here for each and every semester, and you can actually go even further. If you tap on the subject, it will take you to a PDF of a description of the subject and what the learning outcomes are like, what we're looking for. Okay, so this is the 6-year program. And then for any of you who are looking at the graduate entry, the setup of the website is pretty much the same. It's very similar to the 6-year program. Now, case in point here though, please note, our graduate entry degree program, okay, is a 5-year long program. It's not a 4-year program, unlike in Canada and the US. Our graduate entry degree program is 5 years. Okay, even for those who have earned a degree in neuroscience or biomedical sciences, it will still take 5 years for a candidate or incoming student to complete and earn our graduate entry MD degree program. All right, so please keep that in mind. You can find the admissions requirements here. It is a university degree in any field and a minimum of 498 on the MCAT exam. Okay, that's written right here. All right, or the GAMSAT, but the GAMSAT is not written by North Americans largely. Okay, tuition information again is self-explanatory. It is right here under the tuition tab. A reminder that when you come to a program's website here, okay, you'll have to look for these links to the web pages under the maroon banner here. All right. Similarly, with the 6-year program, the 5-year program also lists the individual subjects that are taught in this program. This is the PDF for the first GEMD 101 course titled Molecular Basis of Cellular Function and Dysfunction. All right. So, all right. I'm not sure if there's I'm sure who is attending my session, my webinar. I'm also going to briefly talk about introduce to you our new DVM program under the School of Veterinary Medicine. Our DVM program, again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, is primarily an undergraduate entry program. Okay, so you will find the admissions. Oh, one thing I should point out here, please, if there are any interested people listening in who are interested in the DVM degree program, please note that the web address, the URL, is different from the medical schools, right? The one big difference is you see on the logo, it will say University of Nicosia Medical School, whereas the other one will just say University of Nicosia School of Veterinary Medicine. All right, so please note that the two website branding URL addresses are different. Okay, so this is where you'll see the admissions requirements for the DVM program. As I mentioned earlier, it is primarily the minimum requirements are the high school leaving certificate transcript. Okay. Again, for those for Canadians, we'll be looking at your province, Ontario, or I earlier mentioned Ontario. Let's talk about Alberta. So Alberta, it is 5 level 30 or 31 subjects. Now, one big difference between an MD degree, an MD program requirements versus a DVM program requirements In the MD program requirements, we are looking first at biology, all right? But in the DVM program, the first subject we're going to zero in on is chemistry rather than biology, all right? But all else stays the same. So for example, for Alberta, all right, the first subject we want to look at is chemistry at the level 30 or 31 level, and the score must be at least 85%. And then we need a second science subject like biology or physics or math, and which also has to have the same standard, achieve the same standard of 85%. And then on top of that, in order for you to graduate with a Alberta diploma, those are two subjects. We need three more, right? Okay, so that's just an example. If you're from BC or from a different province, please, a reminder for you to email me directly so that I can tell you the detailed requirements for your province. Okay, so this is a DVM program. Now, let me talk about the DVM first, and then I'll go back to the MD program in a moment. So, excuse me. One very, very common question and very valid question: Can I practice? Can you use your DVM degree earned at the University of Nicosia in Canada? All right. The answer is yes. It is because the University of Nicosia School of Veterinary Medicine's DVM program is newer. We are not yet accredited. Okay, we're not accredited yet. Okay, that's gonna take a few more years, several more years, before we can come up with the data to apply for accreditation. But even without accreditation, any DVM student in our program or DVM graduate from our program can still be eligible for licensing in your province. Licensing is by province. By the student or the graduate completing the necessary licensing exams. All right. The final exams for to obtain a veterinary license for your province in Canada is the NAVLE, NAVLE, which is the North American Veterinary Licensing Exam. Now, every candidate applying for licensure has to write the final NAVLE exam. For our students, they will have to. There's a prerequisite. There's a prerequisite exam that has to be written and passed before they become eligible for the final NAVLE exam. After which they will be eligible to apply for licensure in that province. Okay, all right. More on that later. You can always ask me to explain that in detail later. But now, in the interest of time, so for the MD programs, the same. When a student is matriculating through medical school overseas, all right, and when they complete the program and earn a degree, that student becomes a qualified doctor. But a qualified doctor is not exactly the same as a licensed doctor. So, and same with any students in Canada. When they matriculate through their university programs, they become qualified doctors or qualified vets, but they still have to go through the licensing exams and pass them in order to be eligible for licensure in Canada. So for MD students, it's no different. You follow the same, but the exams for medical school will help you earn the degree, become qualified. The exams for licensing will help you on the pathway to licensure. That's essentially the difference. They're both very, very similar. They're parallel, but yet separate tracks of exams. Okay, so do keep that in mind. What are the other common information that I think you might be interested in? So there is, but with MD students and graduates, it's a little more complicated because it also involves applying to the match, right? Applying to the Canada match or applying elsewhere. Speaking of applying elsewhere, I know that a lot of Canadians are very global. Many Canadians that I've come across have more than one citizenship. So if you are one of those, are also open to starting your professional pathway outside Canada, please know that you are all, with our degree, it's recognized because Cyprus is a member of the European Union. Our degree is recognized throughout the EU. Okay, but if you want to go anywhere else in the EU, the degree will be recognized. There are no additional licensing exams. However, you will have to demonstrate language proficiency in the local language, whether it's German or French or Dutch or some other language. Okay, so that's something separate. Many Canadians have told me that they recognize that it is very, very challenging, intensely competitively challenging to match directly back to Canada, and that's a fact. The residency spots are very, very limited, and you have a larger number of IMGs, the international medical graduates, who are going to compete for the spots that are still left for them after the Canadian grads have placed. So it's very, very challenging. So I would advise any one of you to also consider and also perhaps plan to apply to residencies maybe in the US, or if you want to go to the UK, they don't call it residency. UK has a program that's called the Foundation Program, and the Foundation Program is a requirement for every medical graduate, regardless of whether they graduated from a UK medical degree from a UK medical school, or a medical graduate coming from overseas. Everybody has to go through a 2-year foundation program before they apply to go for further training in a medical specialty such as cardiology or pediatrics or gynecology and so forth. Okay, so you can always Google that. It's called the UK Foundation Program. You can read up and maybe do some preliminary understanding about that. Okay, I'm an admissions advisor. All right, that's my job. I've been doing this now for close to 10 years. On our campus, we also have a dedicated career support office who basically meet and track every individual student very closely, because we are hosting students from not only from near and around Cyprus, but we have many students coming from the UK, coming from other parts of EU, South Africa, and for the past 10 years now, a small but growing number has been coming from North America, and Australia and New Zealand. So we have a dedicated career support office who will meet with students and track them very closely to help them understand, first of all, to help them understand the different pathways that are available to them, the different options, and also to help them make sure that they are preparing, that they understand what they need, the exams they need to prepare for. Okay. Speaking of exams, earlier I mentioned UK. For those of you who are interested, the UK is going to introduce a licensing exam starting from the next year, 2024. So keep in mind, if you're coming from Canada and you're going to look at UK, that means you'll have to be studying for the medical school's exam. You have to study for UK's exam. And if you want to also apply back to Canada, you'll be studying for the Canadian board exams as well. So the more places you want to prepare yourself for, that means you are actually you are going to be studying for more exams. So that's a very, very real and a real challenge indeed. Okay, so I want to say that. All right. We have just a little over 10 minutes left. I want to check back to the chat box. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box so I can try to answer some of that now before I let you go. Haley, is there any way I can see if there are any questions in the chat box?
Yep. If you stop sharing your screen, you should be able to see them, or I can read them out to you. It's up to you.
Okay. Oh yeah. Here we go. Right. I can stop sharing. All right. Let's see. Thank you, Haley. All right. First question. Do all the programs take place in Cyprus? All the MD programs are in person on campus. Yes. The DVM program in person on campus. Yes. We have a few master's programs that are online and virtual. All right, but I think most of you coming joining this event are usually, I would say the vast majority are looking at MD programs or DVM programs. How's the culture in Cyprus as a Canadian student? Good question. I'm happy to tell you that Cyprus is a very, very, even though it's small, the population is small, it's a small island nation. I visited Cyprus twice and have found it to have a certain level of cosmopolitan in Nicosia, especially because Cyprus has long been a very, very popular, has a very popular destination for tourists coming from Northern Europe and now increasingly from Russia and even China. But there's definitely a very cosmopolitan feel in a small place. Okay, it's very welcoming. As I mentioned earlier, all the Greek Cypriots and the medical school, the University of Nicosia is located on the Greek side of Cyprus. All the locals there are fluently bilingual. All right. On that note too, for any incoming student, the university does offer free Greek lessons for anyone who's interested, if they want to appreciate the culture better, and also perhaps communicate better with some of the elderly folks in Cyprus. All right, so we offer free Greek lessons. Okay, next questions. How does the academic system in Cyprus compare to Canada? Now, we are talking about university studies. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, go back to the web page. You will see that the way the program structure is laid out is very much in line and aligned with international and global standards. First of all, EU is a member of the Cyprus is a member of the European Union, so our degrees and our programs have to be accredited by the Ministry of Education in Cyprus in order for the degree and the programs to be recognized throughout the Schengen region. On top of that, too, because we know that many of our students are coming from all over the world, we have to make sure that our curriculum and the standards teach and prepare our students for the pathway they want to take, for the direction they want to head, whether it's UK or going back to or sitting for the Canadian board exams or the US board exams or wherever. We have to ensure that the curriculum is robust enough and rigorous enough to help our students tackle those exams that are going to be administered from their home countries or the professional pathways they want to take. As for your question about supporting international students, we have a student service center that will basically help new incoming students get their feet on the ground. They are in charge of the orientation program, for example. But actually, let me tell you that there are many, because Cyprus has a very small local population, and the campus, we talk about cosmopolitan, the University of Nicosia campus is very, very, very cosmopolitan indeed. And because it's a cosmopolitan campus, you will find a Canadian student club. There will be, I think there's a soccer club or rugby clubs too, and there'll be music clubs as well. So there are many opportunities and activities for anyone who's interested to join and expand. That way you make more friends, you extend your network, and that networking is very, very important because university studies, especially for MD programs and a DVM program, they're very rigorous and they're very challenging. And I think it's very, very important, especially in this day and age, for anyone and everyone to be engaged and to feel part of the community. That's why I would encourage everyone to look at the clubs, to look at all the different activities and choose as many as you can handle that will also help you get a life outside of studies. Okay? All right. So, is it costly for international students? Again, I want to refer you back to, I'm going to share my screen again, refer you back to the tuition web pages. Okay? So, let me go back really quickly. Here we are. In this, remember, a reminder, you have to put your cursor over the menus in order to pull it down. select the program of your interest. And then once you select a program of your interest, hang on a second. All right, here we go. Scroll down until you see the horizontal banner, and then that's where you will find additional links to the web pages, such as tuition. Okay, so the cost is here, quoted in euros. And if you have any questions, please note my contact information. I'm in Chicago. You can email me, text me. Don't call me. Just send me a text message and let me call you back. All right, from Chicago. One final reminder, the DVM program, Veterinary Medicine Program, is a different website at a URL address, okay? All right, so this is unique, University of Nicosia.ac, academia.cy, Cyprus, /vet, okay? So, all right, I'm going to stop sharing so I can go back and check if there are any additional questions. We have just about 6 minutes left. Any other questions before I let you go?
I think that is it for questions.
Okay, Haley, thank you very much. Do we end it now? And is anybody still with us?
Yep, there's 5 people with us, but
Oh,
it doesn't
good.
look like they have any questions. So
Okay, still five people with us and 6 minutes and counting. If you have any questions, please enter it in the chat box. And again, before we run out of time, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your choosing to join me on this webinar. I know it's very brief, it's somewhat hurried too, but know that I'm here to answer any more questions. Please take note of my contact information, my email and my phone number, where you can text me in Chicago, and I would be happy to call you right back. Oh, by the way, so for those of you who are ready, our interview series has just started last week. So if you are in your final year, whether you're final year and you have some predicted grades or midterm grades to share with us, we could potentially review your midterm grades or predicted grades report, and based on that, we may be able to offer you an interview. All right, for you to kind of plan ahead to get a conditional offer while you continue on with your final year of studies. Okay, so this is a good time for you to start exploring and charting your applications and your options. So do contact me if you have any other questions, but explore our website further. Okay, our web pages and information there. Now, very briefly, I think a couple of important points. For clinical rotations for the MD programs, the DVM program is a 5-year program conducted entirely in Cyprus. Okay, all right, but primarily we're going to be looking at high school transcripts and grades. But for anyone who has already started university, whether you're in first year or second year, actually just 2 days ago, I spoke with a young man who is in year 3 of engineering studies, and he is very, very enthusiastic and passionate about applying to our DVM program. So everybody's different. The best advice, general advice that I can give you, every one of you listening now, is if you know yourself best, if you are ready, and not even very ready, by applying to a program, you're not deciding to start. Okay, but for any of you who even are thinking about it, I would strongly encourage you to get in touch with me, and I will. When you do get in touch with me, I will be encouraging you to consider an application, because I always say it's better to have if you apply earlier and get a conditional offer earlier, it's better to have 6 months to consider your options rather than just 6 weeks. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Thanks, Haley. Thanks for putting that in.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who attended. Have
Thank
a
you,
great
everyone.
evening.
Have a great week. Stay